All right, welcome into 305 Guys on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. I got Alex Donno. You can follow him at Alex Donno. And we got our guy, Alex Baumgartner. Of course, he's been the one providing the great Panthers coverage for us throughout the playoffs. We're going to talk Panthers today. Their backs clearly against the wall here as they head home, losing the first 2 games in Toronto in this series. This is the series that everybody picked them to win after they were picked to lose the last one. And that should have been a tell. We're sponsored here by our friends over at Prize Picks. You can play the Panthers as well as all the other NBA teams, the MLB teams, and more at prizepicks.com. Use the code 5FIVE. Put down your $5. You get $50 to play right away. That Jimmy Butler played tonight. Interesting with no Steph Curry. I'm on a bit of a run, guys. So make sure you're following me. Use the code 5FIVE. Put down your $5. You get $50 to play right away. Legal in the state of Florida. And you can play up to 6 players together and bring everything back. Jimmy had 24.5 points tonight. If you want to look at that one, Buddy Hield's been hot, 15.5 points. So I'll dig into it later.
So let me ask you: Are you taking more or less than 24.5 on Jimmy?
Down under.
Same.
Under. I don't think he has it in him these days to give you 25 to 30. I think he's more of a connector now, and curious to see with all the burn on him. I'm playing Anthony Edwards over tonight. I think that a bit of a bounce back after the first 2 games. So check that one out. Of course, Indiana, Cleveland tonight as well. All the NHL games, MLB, and more. Use the code FIVE. All right, let's get back to Panthers. They're now prepping for Game 3. So let's go to Alex Baumgartner on this first. Your concern meter right now from I don't know, 1 horn blaring to 5.
1 through 5, maybe a 3.5. We'll kind of try and get it a little higher in the middle, but yeah, look, here's the thing. They're 2 1-goal games. Panthers didn't play relatively well in either of them. Game 2 was a little bit of a better showing than Game 1. Game 1, just Toronto came out. Alex said before we were on, guns blazing. That's exactly what happened. Bob Lennon a week want to start the game, and you're climbing 33 seconds into the game, and they still almost came back to tie it. Game 2, you take the lead. You had the lead a couple times, and then after tying it at 3-3, Mitch Marner scores 17 seconds later, and you really just couldn't recover from that. My biggest concern has been the defense. I can clearly tell it's a different speed matchup than it was against Tampa. Tampa wasn't as fast and wasn't as dangerous off the rush in transition as Toronto. Somehow, every single time Toronto got the puck, there was a guy already halfway to the other zone, and the Panthers just weren't adjusting there at all. So the defensive play is definitely something to look out for. The tape's pretty easy. We're pinching too much. We're getting caught out of place. Toronto's pushing. That's what they need to look at. And through the first 2 games of the series, Toronto has been exposing them there.
With the Panthers forward lines, they've certainly been showing their depth, and the Luostarinen line has been hot, but should we expect more from the top line, Alex?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're paying these guys a lot of money to score goals. Obviously, Barkov got the power play goal yesterday, but when you're down 0-2 in a series, you need the big boys to show up. You need goals from Reinhart. You need offensive contribution from Carter Verhaeghe. You look at the second line, I thought they looked pretty awful last night until Mackie Samoskevich got bumped up. Some people are saying, what's wrong with Tkachuk? Is he hurt? Obviously, he came back after not playing for 2 months off a pretty bad injury. I don't know if he's playing hurt at this time of the season. Every single guy in every single game is playing hurt. But that line needs a little bit more juice. Obviously, Sam Bennett's been pretty good all postseason. Tkachuk had a good first round, but you just need more offensive contributions from the top 6. Your fourth line is not really going to get too much ice time other than Nico Sturm when he's on the penalty kill. But the third line's been the best line for the Panthers in the postseason. They showed it again yesterday when they needed a goal. Marchand had a big goal. Lundell had a big goal. You're going to need a little bit more from that first line. You're going to need a little more from that second line. You're going to need some offense coming into Game 3 because, if a 2-1 series is a lot different than going down 0-3. So,
Bob, let's get to Bob because I know we both have respect for David Dwork. He's around the team quite a bit. And David put it out there. He's like, expected goals last night was like 1.65. So I'll just ask, like, is he playing well enough right now?
No.
for them to win?
He didn't play good in game 1. Played a little bit better game 2, but it wasn't. There were some inopportune goals that went in. Obviously, that 4th goal should never have went in. That goes bar down on like a 50-mile-per-hour shot. The power play goal Pacioretty scored, that was just a very weird deflection. But yeah, I mean, you need big time saves, and they haven't got them in this series.
And to that end, and then I'll let Alex jump in here a little bit. I mean, they made a commitment to him, right? I mean, obviously, and it paid off last year. They traded Spencer Knight this year after it looked like he got himself back on track. They got Seth Jones out of it, who held them together on the blue line until Ekblad got back and has been a positive for them. But are you concerned? I mean, if they lose this series and he doesn't play particularly well in it, are you concerned about their future at that position?
This is more of like an off-season outlook. I think the way the Panthers looked at it is like the bigger need is beefing up our blue line. We don't know if we're going to retain Ekblad. If Ekblad hits the market, he's a right-handed shot defenseman. He's going to be the best defenseman on the market. I mean, a team could overpay him if that's the avenue it went. You get Seth Jones, who looks like a different player here than he was in Chicago. Obviously, that comes with systems. They like Seth Jones. I think Seth Jones is a big reason why they were so good in that first-round series. I think Seth Jones is a perfect defenseman to help fill out that top 4. Off season, you can always look the goaltenders. You can find out of nowhere some of these days. I mean, Sam Montembeault, who's the Habs starter, he was in the Panthers system. Montreal claims him off of waivers. All of a sudden, he's starting in playoff games. He made the 4 Nations team. I mean, these goalie stories you see more often than not. The goaltender excellence program in Florida has done a pretty good job at finding goalies like Montembeault, like Devin Levi, who was used as a trade chip in the Sam Reinhart deal. You can find goalies. I thought Spencer Knight was the future, but I understand why they made the move for Seth Jones. But just focusing on this series, you need a better game from everybody, Bob included, in game 3. Otherwise, you're going home early.
All right, so Day says it would be great if we could pick up Connor McDavid. Yes, I'd be all for that. Austin Matthews as well. Come on.
Great if the Dolphins could get Mahomes. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Well, but I wanted to get a little bit into the weeds, Alex, on last night's game, and I know, like, I'm not going to blame officiating for the loss. I don't think that was necessarily a deciding factor, but boy, did we have some awful calls, probably in both directions. I know that the Toronto fans were. They were shouting out their praise of the officials throughout the game, but that embellishment call on Evan Rodriguez, like I had one. I tweeted my frustration about it. I had one Maple Leafs fan who were like, "What are you talking about? That was a great call. He went down like he was shot." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, because he got boarded and injured. He was injured on that play. Like that was one of the worst calls I've seen in the postseason so far."
Look, I'm not one to ever really try and complain about officials. I thought game 1, that Domi cross-check on Marchand, like there was no cross-check there. So the Leafs definitely got hosed on that one. I've covered hundreds and hundreds of hockey games in so many different arenas in the NHL the last 5 years. I've never seen a guy get hit from behind on the numbers, a foot from the board, get called for an embellishment while he's on the way to the tunnel. It wasn't just us. ESPN was losing it. Other teams' beat writers were losing it. Toronto guys are like, I'm a Leafs fan. I don't know how that's an embellishment. I think the officiating's definitely been interesting for both sides. Once again, that weird phantom cross check on Domi. And then, obviously, Evan Rodriguez getting called for embellishment after getting hit from behind. So, yeah, the National Hockey League, it's definitely a league.
Yeah, no, it's a league, that's for sure. I mean, even Bizinet was like, and that takes a lot there to acknowledge that it was a terrible call. I've just never seen anything quite like that. I mean, I can make the argument maybe for no call there at all. I can't really make that argument, but to flip it on the player who is physically assaulted. I mean, what did you want him to do? Stand like no, that didn't affect me. That's just insane.
Look, a lot of the time in playoffs, you'll get a guy that, they turn into the boards and, you get caught in the numbers. It's happened multiple times this series. It's a no call. I'm like, it's fine. It's playoff hockey. If the guy gets hit, he gets hit. That one was pretty clear. And if you want to go no call, I wouldn't have batted an eye. I was unbelievably shocked at the embellishment call. Paul Maurice just had the funniest reaction I've ever seen. He just looks at the sky. He's like, oh, we're really doing this right now. So, the officials aren't why the Panthers are losing this series.
No,
that's for sure. They've been pretty good on the power play. The penalty kill has been good this postseason. Obviously, Toronto has an elite power play unit, so they're going to score. But the things you got to clean up, as we talked about, you can't be pinching so much. It's a different series. They're not playing as well as I'd like to in the not the transition game, but the kind of like the dump and chase game, getting physical along the boards, kind of keeping the pucks down low, keeping it around the goal mouth. They haven't done that enough for my liking. And that's how they won the cup last year. They played teams like Toronto. Edmonton has as much speed as Toronto did. And obviously that series went 7, but the Panthers were up 3-0 at one point against the Oilers. So I think that's the biggest adjustment. So you're going to have a day to watch tape, day and a half to watch tape, and then you gotta come out and give your best effort in game 3 at home.
Well, it's the old Pat Riley quote, the series hasn't started until the road team wins a game, although I always question that because you can lose a series without the road team winning a game. So that could play out that way. But one thing you can't do is ignore hurricane season. It's always around the corner in South Florida, whether you're in Sunrise, Fort Lauderdale, Coral Gables, or Palm Beach. Check them out. All Pro Construction Builders. It's allproconstructionbuilders.com. Reach out to Danny and his team, 305-484-4429. That's 305-484-4429. Free estimate. And if you mention 5 reasons, 305 guys or 5 on the floor, you also get 5.5% off your entire order. So reach out to them, All Pro Construction Builders, allproconstructionbuilders.com. Also, make sure you check out 5reasonsports.com for all Alex's latest reports. I'll go here and then let Donno finish with you. Give me the single biggest thing that has to happen in game 3 for them to get back in this series.
You got to hold your leads. If you take an early lead, you got to add on to that. You can't be playing catch up in this game. The Leafs have the momentum coming in. You need some more sustained offense. And obviously, I think the biggest thing for me is you got to watch your gaps. You got to watch the transition game, because I said it in game 1. I said it before they scored in game 2. Watch the transition, because the Leafs are cherry picking on that. They're pretty much hunting Florida's defense, and Florida hasn't adjusted.
All right, I'll ask you this. True or false? Panthers must win the next 2 games at home if they have a chance to win the series.
False.
Ooh, okay.
I think you win game 3, you can lose game 4 and still win the series. I think it's a little bit of a different mountain to climb if you're down 0-3 compared to 3-1.
Yeah.
They've come back down 3-1. Toronto, obviously, this is a very different Toronto team, but the same core has been in situations where they had 3-1 series leads and it got to 7. So win game 3. I think game 3 is the must win in this scenario.
All right. Well, if there is Alex going to be at both games 3 and game 4. If there is a game 5, he'll be there as well, bracing the elements in Toronto. That might be an ugly scene if they're down 3-1 going up there. But again, the Panthers have been in disadvantageous situations before. Remember the Boston series, losing a 3-0 lead against Edmonton in the finals and then gathering yourself to win game 7. I'm not going to ever question the resilience of this team anymore, but something seems a little off. It just seems a little off. Like they don't have quite the same jump. I don't think it's complacency. It might be what you're saying. It might be Tkachuk's not really 100% right now. Their first couple lines have kind of been a little wonky, and Bob's not as sharp as he's been. And you add that to a defense that's been a little leaky, and you get the result that you get. So Toronto deserves it. It just was the worst call I've ever seen last. I don't even know what to make of that one. All right, thanks to Donno. Thanks to our sponsors, Prize Picks. Use the code FIVE. Check out all of the other content here. Messi and company, they had a great conversation with Lindsay Cavanelli yesterday. So if you get your soccer fix on here too, and our guy Eric Smith's going to be putting up all of the training camp battles for the Dolphins coming up here as well. So check it out. Thanks to Alex. Thanks to Alex. We've got another Alex in the network. We're all Alex's and Chris's. Have a good one, everybody.